There is no land here. There is only the freezing, violent, and dark water of the Bohai Sea. For millennia, this treacherous stretch of the Pacific Ocean has been a wasteland of freezing storms, crushing waves, and absolute hostility to human life. But where nature has placed an impenetrable barrier, the modern engine of human ambition sees only a blank canvas. China requires a new aviation megahub, a gateway to the world that can handle tens of millions of passengers and millions of tons of cargo. But the coastal cities are choking, overcrowded, and stripped of usable land. The solution was not to build further inland. The solution, born of sheer engineering arrogance and staggering economic power, was to declare war on the ocean itself. Welcome to the construction site of the Dalian Jinzhouwan International Airport. This is not just an infrastructure project. It is a $120 billion act of defiance. It is the largest offshore artificial island airport in the history of human civilization, a colossal 21 square kilometer fortress of rock, steel, and concrete rising directly from the abyss. To understand the sheer, mind-bending scale of building a massive international airport in the middle of the ocean, you have to understand that construction does not begin in the water. It begins with absolute brute force destruction on the mainland. To create an island of this magnitude, engineers calculate that they need hundreds of millions of cubic meters of solid fill. You cannot simply scoop this up. You have to take it from the earth by force. Miles away from the coastline, armies of demolition experts are systematically annihilating entire mountains. Deep boreholes are drilled into the ancient limestone and packed with high-yield industrial explosives. The detonations are apocalyptic. Whole faces of the mountain are violently sheared off, collapsing in deafening avalanches of pulverized stone and blinding white dust. Before the dust even settles, a mechanical army of the largest hydraulic excavators on the planet moves in. These massive yellow beasts, their diesel engines roaring and spewing thick black exhaust, tear into the shattered rock. They load jagged, raw boulders into an endless, crawling convoy of heavy-duty dump trucks. This pulverized mountain is then transported to the coastline and dumped directly into the holds of colossal, rust-stained industrial barges. This armada of heavy transport vessels sails out into the dark, churning waters of the Bohai Sea, navigating through thick marine fog and freezing rain. When they reach the designated drop zones, the floors of the barges split open. Thousands of tons of raw, jagged rock are violently vomited directly into the freezing abyss. The ocean instantly swallows the stone, boiling white with displaced saltwater and churning mud. Day after day, month after month, the fleets return, dropping millions upon millions of tons of rock into the dark water until, slowly, a jagged, unnatural reef begins to break the surface. But piling rocks in the open ocean is a fool's errand if you do not protect them. The sea is a relentless, patient enemy, and the kinetic energy of its waves will eventually grind those mountains back into sand. To secure the foundation, engineers must build a colossal perimeter fortress, a seawall of unprecedented proportions. Heavy-lift maritime cranes, mounted on massive floating platforms that pitch and roll with the violent ocean swells, swing into action. They are lifting massive, interlocking concrete structures called dolas and caissons. These are not just walls. They are highly complex geometric armor designed to shatter the incoming kinetic energy of typhoons and storm surges. The cranes, their thick steel cables groaning under immense tension, blindly lower these multi-ton concrete blocks into the churning surf. Human divers cannot survive in these crushing, freezing currents, so the placement relies on computerized GPS precision and raw hydraulic power. As the massive concrete blocks lock into place, the ocean fights back, violently slamming heavy gray waves against the raw infrastructure, sending freezing spray hundreds of feet into the air. But the barrier holds, slowly, painfully. A 21 square kilometer ring of impenetrable concrete and stone is sealed in the middle of the ocean. Once the perimeter fortress is closed, the true insanity of the project reveals itself. Inside this massive wall is nothing but trapped, dark ocean water. The engineers must now replace this trapped sea with solid ground. Enter the trailing suction hopper dredgers, the mechanical leviathans of the marine engineering world. These colossal ships drop massive, serrated mechanical cutter heads deep into the seabed outside the walls. The teeth violently chew through ancient clay, sand, and rock, while massive industrial vacuums suck up the resulting slurry. This mixture of water and earth is pumped through miles of sweating, heavy-duty steel pipes and violently blasted directly into the walled enclosure. Millions of gallons of thick, gray, bubbling mud are vomited into the lagoon. The water inside the fortress is systematically displaced, forced out through massive sluice gates until the ocean is gone, replaced by a vast, desolate expanse of wet, unstable reclaimed earth. But this is where the engineers face their most terrifying challenge. You cannot land a 300-ton commercial jetliner on wet mud. If you try to build an airport on soft reclaimed land, the immense weight and vibrations of the aircraft will trigger a phenomenon called liquefaction. The ground will literally turn to liquid under the pressure, the runways will buckle, and the planes will be swallowed into the earth. The ground must be tortured into submission. It must be brutally compressed until it achieves the density of ancient bedrock. To do this, the engineers deploy an army of dynamic compaction machines. These are towering, heavy-duty crawler cranes outfitted with solid steel weights ranging from 50 to 100 tons. The operators hoist these massive steel blocks high into the cold coastal air, align them over the wet earth, and release the brakes. The free fall is terrifying. When 100 tons of solid steel slams into the mud, the impact sounds like an artillery strike. The kinetic energy sends violent shock waves rippling through the artificial island. Mud geysers shoot 50 feet into the air as the water is violently expelled from the earth. The massive cranes repeat this process relentlessly, dropping the weights thousands upon thousands of times in a precise mathematical grid. They are literally hammering the earth with the force of localized earthquakes, crushing the microscopic spaces out of the sand until the entire 21 square kilometer island is compacted into a rock-solid, impenetrable slab. With the earth beaten into submission, the focus shifts to the underworld. An airport built in the ocean is constantly under siege by water, not just from the sea outside, but from torrential typhoons above. If the water cannot escape, the island will drown. Before a single inch of concrete is poured for the surface, workers must excavate massive trenches into the newly crushed earth to lay a subterranean drainage grid of mind-boggling proportions. They install thousands of miles of heavy, reinforced concrete pipes, some large enough to drive an industrial dump truck through. This underground labyrinth is connected to massive subterranean pumping stations equipped with industrial impellers capable of moving millions of gallons of water per minute, designed to instantly suck the island dry during the most apocalyptic weather events. Only when the underworld is secure does the paving of the abyss begin. This is where the raw, gritty earthworks transition into absolute precision engineering. The target is the construction of 4 colossal, multi-kilometer runways, massive strips of highly specialized aviation-grade concrete capable of withstanding the punishing, instantaneous impact of the world's heaviest aircraft touching down at hundreds of miles per hour. Continuous slip-form pavers, massive machines that look like crawling factories, move slowly across the desolate landscape. They lay down perfectly leveled, continuously reinforced concrete. The environment is brutal. The chemical heat generated by millions of cubic yards of curing concrete violently clashes with the freezing, salty ocean winds, creating thick clouds of condensation that roll across the construction site. Workers in heavy protective gear move behind the machines, frantically cutting relief joints and applying specialized textures to the curing surface to ensure the concrete doesn't crack under the massive temperature fluctuations and to provide the exact friction required to stop a jet sliding on wet ice. Thousands of high-intensity, waterproof runway lights are meticulously wired and embedded directly into the concrete, a glowing nervous system laid into the stone. While the runways are being paved, the crown jewel of the $120 billion mega project begins to rise from the cold ocean wind, the mega terminal. This is not a standard building. It is a 400,000 square meter cathedral of extreme structural engineering. Because the island is exposed to the absolute worst of the Pacific's hurricane-force winds, the terminal cannot be a rigid box. It must be an aerodynamic masterpiece. High above the concrete deck, suspended in the freezing sea spray, legions of specialized ironworkers and high-altitude welders are assembling a colossal skeleton of marine-grade, rust-resistant steel. Blinding showers of orange sparks rain down as massive steel trusses, some weighing hundreds of tons, are fused together. The roof is designed to mimic the aerodynamic flow of an airplane wing, allowing Category 5 typhoon winds to glide seamlessly over the structure rather than tearing it apart. The exterior is wrapped in thousands of panels of impact-resistant, pressurized glass, completely sealing the interior climate from the violent reality of the ocean just a few hundred yards away. Inside this massive fortress, a completely different kind of engineering takes over. Miles of high-speed automated baggage handling belts are threaded through the concrete catacombs. Massive, hyper-efficient HVAC systems are installed to pull in the salty ocean air, completely strip it of moisture and corrosive salt, and pump it into the terminal. Advanced biometric security gates, facial recognition arrays, and autonomous logistics robots are integrated into the grid. It is a stark, jarring contrast. Outside is the raw, untamed, primal violence of the Bohai Sea, while inside is a perfectly sterile, mathematically precise, hyper-advanced technological utopia. When the massive complex is finally completed, the visual reality of what has been achieved is absolutely staggering. From the perspective of a pilot descending through the thick, gray marine layer, the sight is terrifying and awe-inspiring. For miles, there is nothing but the dark, choppy, unforgiving ocean. And then, suddenly, a perfectly illuminated grid of high-intensity lights pierces the fog. A massive geometric slab of pristine concrete, defying all laws of nature, sitting isolated in the middle of the sea. As the massive commercial jet drops its landing gear, it appears as though it is about to crash directly into the waves. The water rushes past just feet below the undercarriage, and at the last possible microsecond, the heavy rubber tires slam onto the concrete, the engines roar into reverse thrust, and the aircraft is brought to a safe, controlled halt in the middle of the ocean. The Dalian Jinzhouwan International Airport is not just a triumph of moving earth and pouring concrete. It is the ultimate manifestation of human dominance over the natural world. It is a statement that when the land runs out, we will simply build new land. We will crush mountains. We will drain the abyss. We will beat the mud into stone. And we will pave the ocean. It is a $120 billion gamble against the forces of nature, a high-stakes fortress built on a fault line of climate and geography. It stands as a terrifying, awe-inspiring monument to the extreme limits of civil engineering, an impossible runway floating forever in the dark waters of the sea.
Easy now, bring it down slow. Watch the bolts. A little to the left. Okay, easy now. Pull it left. Left, got it. Hold it steady.
The wind load on the east facade is exceeding projections. Check the strain gauges on level 7.
Reading maximum stress tolerances now.
Feet.
Clipper 49er, runway 27 right, cleared for takeoff.
Heavy Metal 1, wind 290 at 8, cleared for immediate takeoff.